Thank you, Erica. First of all, I would like to thank everyone at M3 Planning for the resources they have provided to me over the last 2.5 to 3 years. The individuals within the organization have been very informative, very helpful, and the MyStrategicPlan.com website has been a very useful tool, and in my mind is actually a strategic planning university. Currently, I'm working with 15 organizations in a strategic management role, either on a weekly, a monthly, or a quarterly basis, utilizing MyStrategicPlan.com as the strategic management tool. Now, the common theme with all these organizations was a lack of unified focus. This became evident in the pre-planning stage through answers to pre-planning questions. It later became more obvious in the planning session itself. The evidence was that the mission or the purpose statement of the organization was not clear or unknown, and as a result, the values, the vision, the goals of the organization were equally as unclear. Everyone in the planning session understood their title, they understood their role within the organization, and even the current goals or targets for their department, their division, or their own individual goals. However, what was not clear was how their role and their goals fit within the overall mission of the organization. Now, in some cases, the organizations were struggling financially, but in some cases, the organizations were financially fit. But in all cases, two items were evident. First of all, a lack of a laser focus for the organization, and as a result, number two, lack of clear communication of the focus for the organization. So the goal that I have set for myself in working for organizations I provide strategic management services to is to, quote unquote, get focused. So to demonstrate today, I have a few slides that I'm still in the process of developing to accomplish two things. First of all, for me to become laser focused upon the services I provide. I feel like it's important for me to demonstrate that I'm indeed very focused. And second, to demonstrate what getting focused looks like within an organization that I can communicate in a very brief conversation or display in a PowerPoint presentation. Now, today we're going to spend a few minutes reviewing the following slides. But personally, I have a goal to explain these slides to someone within 1 minute. And ultimately, this becomes a goal for the leaders of the organizations to share the focus of their organization in a very clear and concise manner within a similar time frame. So the theme of all of these slides is the word focus, and I've made an attempt to display a mission statement, values, vision, competitive advantage, all from the perspective of using the word focus as an acronym to do this. So the first slide I'd like to show you is focus as a mission statement. Now, the mission statement of the organization that I currently have is to facilitate the clarification and implementation of purpose, focus, and direction through a strategic planning process. But to make this fit within the word focus, you can see that I have revised this to some degree to state focus as a mission statement is to facilitate the organization of, the clarification of, and the unification of strategic management or strategy. Be crystal clear what the who and the what and the how questions are when answering a mission statement. Focus as a value statement. Values drive an organization that provide, you might say, some parameters within in which they carry out their mission or their purpose of the organization. So focus as a value statement for me becomes, first of all, just being faithful to what I said I would do, be dependable, to be a person of integrity, to be organized, very structured. And fortunately, we have a tool through MyStrategicPlan.com that provides an excellent framework for this to occur. Communication, clear, concise communication of what the mission, the purpose, the vision, the values of the organization is. Understanding. There are times you have to listen, and listen well, and be patient, and be understanding. And finally, simplicity. Taking what appears to be complex or a wealth of information, and then being able to provide it in a simplistic format that can be understood, that's clear, and is relative, and motivates an individual within an organization to be excited about the purpose of an organization. Next, focus as a unique or competitive advantage. When strategic planning, we always talk about what do you do best? What is the one area within your organization that you can do or will do better than any other organization within your industry? So I would describe focus, or the competitive advantage using the acronym FOCUS, is to first of all provide framework, provide pre-planning questions, provide planning sessions, and then the tools such as MyStrategicPlan.com. For organizations, this can be companies, it can actually be events, it can be projects, it can be any type of organization that needs some framework and needs some structure. Next, to clarify or to communicate, be very clear and concise in the communication effort of the mission and the vision and the values of the organization. And then next, for the organization, the leadership and all of those associated with the organization to understand what it is they're in business to do, so that they become unified in this effort and become excited about the fact that they're with an organization that's very clear about who they are and what they desire to accomplish within the organization. And then finally, strategic management process. This encompasses not only the pre-planning stage and the planning session, but the follow-up, implementation and follow-up, and keeping score of the progress that's being made. Next, focus as a vision statement. First of all, follow-up. In my work thus far with the organizations that I've been fortunate enough to be involved with, this is clear. This is one of the areas that most organizations are somewhat weak in, is follow-up. There are goals that have been set. There are goals that have been, a date has been established, but oftentimes follow-up lacks. In my impression or my opinion of the reason follow-up is oftentimes lacking, I think it goes back to the mission statement. There's not a clear purpose. And so sometimes follow-up is just, it's missing. So what I hope to accomplish in the work that I do is to make it very clear how important and critical follow-up is. Next is to be open and organized in the communication process. You know, I've mentioned communication several times. You know, one aspect of this that we haven't mentioned is to be open, to create an atmosphere of openness in communication, getting to what is oftentimes referred to as the ground truth, and having an environment where the ground truth can be communicated and dealt with. Next, clear mission, values, and vision statement. These need to be crystal clear, and I believe it's my role as in the strategic management process to be certain that each of these are clear. Next, another important aspect of moving forward in an organization is that there be a unified culture in the pursuit of the vision. Be clear on the vision, but as best you can, be sure that there's unity within the organization and moving forward towards this vision that has been set. And then finally, the S for scorecard, or measuring performance. Once the goals have been set that move the organization towards the vision to be pursued, be certain that along the way all the measurements are being set, but also are being scored, and that they're being measured constant measurement is important as the vision is being pursued. So the goal that I have in the organization that I'm working with now is to have 50 what I will call focused organizations in 5 years practicing focus. Clear mission statement, clear values, clear about the competitive or unique advantage, clear in the vision, and then all of this within a framework using MyStrategicPlan.com or even some other tool that is very useful in moving forward in this process.
Tommy, I have a question for you before we move on. Is one of the clients that we're working with right now is struggling with the idea around communication and confidentiality. So obviously in a competitive situation when we're working with private companies, we're always balancing the need to keep things confidential because we don't want our competitors to know, and then also the need for open and being transparent, and certainly you can't execute what you don't know about, right? So what have you advised your clients around balancing those two competing, problems?
Within the organization?
Yeah. Or have you run across that, that challenge?
The confidentiality challenge, Erica, has not been as much of an issue as, I would say, communication of what the mission and the values and the vision of the organization is. So I can't say that I really had to deal with that often, or I can't even recall at this point where that's been an issue. I think that within the software, MyStrategicPlan.com software, certainly there are ways to keep information confidential if that becomes an issue. But I really haven't seen that to be an issue thus far.
Interesting. Okay. And maybe some of our participants might have run into that as well. So I was just curious. So that's great. Yeah, and you're right. We in the application we can certainly turn things on and off. So thanks. And I know you were going to talk to us about focus results as well.
Yes. So the next slide, results of focus. So what I hope to occur as a result of this process is, number one, to be fearless and faithful in the pursuit of the vision. Fearless meaning leaders within the organization, team leaders within the organization, being so crystal clear of what the vision is and what their role is in the pursuit of the vision just gives them a sense of freedom, that we know where we're headed, and we know what we've got to do to get there. So there creates a sense of, you might say, guarded fearlessness, but nonetheless fearlessness, and to be faithful in the pursuit. Next, to be open in the communication and opportunistic in the pursuit. Once the goal and the vision is clear, there are opportunities that come along the way that I've found in organizations that they've never thought of before, but have not felt open to present those opportunities. But the goal would be to create a culture that allows this to happen. Next, to be concise and clear in the pursuit. Never become so complex that goals are difficult to understand. Understand and unified in the pursuit, I think as a result of being clear and concise, being open in the communication, being fearless in the pursuit, the leaders and those who are involved in an organization in the pursuit of the vision, once they understand it, they become unified. And then finally, keep score. Keep score. The organization just needs to know year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, whatever the time frame is, how are we doing? What's working? What's not working? And the results of becoming focused can then move, I believe, an organization towards a vision that they will be much more successful in attaining once The mission, the values, the competitive advantage, and the vision is crystal clear, and there's framework within the organization to keep score. Summary and takeaways. Continuing with this acronym of focus, frame it. By frame it, I simply mean create structure. Whether it's MyStrategicPlan.com or some other tool, create structure. Second, organize the effort. Stay organized throughout the process of accomplishing a vision. Communicate. Communicate consistently. Communicate clearly and concisely. Unify the team. Keep the team informed, and I believe oftentimes this creates unity. And then finally, again, to reiterate the importance of scoring, analyzing, update, and then once you are making progress, celebrate the progress along the way, so that an organization is not only focused and they're not only accomplishing their goals, but it's fun. It's enjoyable to be a part of an organization that is clearly focused and they celebrate progress along the way.
Tommy, I love the thinking around focus. I just have a quick question for you based on your experience. What should we do as in our organizations to take kind of the first step in applying focus? Where would you start?
Within any organization?
Yeah, within any organization. So you kind of went through the mission and vision and values and all that, but if I was to, start working on that next week, where would you start the trail?
I would start the trail with the mission or the purpose statement.
Okay.
In my planning sessions, the mission statement, in these 15 companies, a couple of things have happened. Number one, the mission statement, not only was it changed, but it became within, I would say most of them are within 15 words or less.
Okay.
Most of them, in fact, are probably between 8 to 10 words. What happens is it takes about an average of 2 to 3 hours to accomplish that effort. Sometimes it's taken longer, sometimes less. But that mission statement, be crystal clear who you are, what you're doing, and how you are doing whatever it is your focus is, to be crystal clear on what that is. That, to me, is the foundation from which the rest of the plan is built.
Yeah. And I just love that because I think it's so, sometimes we think the mission, vision, value stuff is a little bit overdone and trite, and it gets played up too much on websites and all that. And to your point, it is just, pushing all of that aside, we always talk about how critical those components are to an effective strategy and an effective direction. So just really, really appreciate the refresher on that and keeping that front of mind for everybody.